This is the way things are going in Detroit now. A building that's been vacant for 10 years, that everybody had given up hope on, is now going to be reborn for another generation of Detroiters. And it's been an interesting process. Last fall, there was a story in the paper that this had been scheduled for demolition, and it was our building safety engineering people just on a routine basis were listing properties that needed to come down. And as soon as it did, I heard from Councilwoman Mary Sheffield, who said, isn't there a way we can keep this building? I said, you know, there's no money for a recreation center. There's not really a community here. We could never save it as a rec center. And she says, we got to try and find some use for the property that remembers the heritage of what the Brewster community meant to this area, what Joe Louis meant, the history of the Harlem Globetrotters playing here. And I thought, well, she had an interesting idea. I didn't know how we were going to do it. And then the second phone call I got that day was from Kid Rock, if you can believe this. This is how Detroit goes. And Kid Rock says, why are you knocking down that building? He says, I got a friend, Kurt Catello, who runs Vincetta Garage Restaurant, and he's willing to put serious money into renovating that historic building, make it into a restaurant, honor the heritage of the community. And I thought, really? And so Tom Lewan, Arthur Jefferson, and our team went out for proposals. And we asked, does anybody have a use for this building that's willing to come forward with their money? And last August, we stood right here, and we invited the public to put forward proposals. And we got several proposals, but one was head and shoulders above the others, and it's the one that we're announcing today. And so Casey Crane, Kurt Catello, Jim Jenkins came forward with a plan to say we're going to put a restaurant into the center, but it's going to be one of the most unique restaurants in Michigan. We're going to take the basketball court that generations of children use, that the Harlem Globetrotters played on repeatedly. We're going to make that basketball court floor the floor of our restaurant. We're going to remember what was here. We're going to take the elements of the boxing ring that Joe Louis sparred in when he was the world champion, and the mural down there that reflected his championship. We're going to make elements of that part of our new restaurant, and we're going to have a community area that's going to be a headquarters for the Detroit Chess Club. I tell everybody, be very careful if one of these kids challenges you to a chess match. So we've got state and national champions standing up here with me. Also, for the Slow Roll organization, the Alternatives for Girls, there's going to be community space here as well. And so, in talking about this, I had the opportunity to talk to Joe Louis Jr. because as we build a new city, it's important that we remember our history and we celebrate it. And I wanted to make sure that we were going to reuse this building in a way that would do honor to Joe Louis, and I'm really glad that his son is going to be here to speak, because we believe we're going to redevelop this in a way that everybody will remember what the history of the area is. So we were going down a path we thought there'd be a good use of this building. And then we said, but we don't really want to have a restaurant community center sitting there by itself with nothing else around. So we went out for proposals on the first area around here. And John Rhea came forward with the proposal. It's going to be a $27 million development, up to 150 housing units, new multi-unit housing, 20% set aside for affordable housing, so that we create a development that's available to people from all incomes in this community. And so what you're going to see as we go forward is this. They're going to start work on the restaurant this year, and it'll be open next year. And John Rhea and the Showstack team are going to break ground on the housing next year, and you're going to start to see housing open the year after that. So this site that has been sitting here neglected for so long is now going to be a center for rebirth. And we're going to build it in a way that includes the community. More than 50% of all the work being done on the job site, they've agreed that Detroiters will be doing the work. So as you drive by seeing the work done, it will be people from this community. At least 30% of the work will be done by Detroit contractors. So we're going to keep the money and grow our businesses in the city, which is a critical piece of this. And the last piece that I'm really proud of is that I made a commitment when I ran that City Hall was going to be a partner to the neighborhood groups. And Mona Ross, the head of the Brush Park Neighborhood Association, not only was she engaged in our planning, but she actually sat on the selection committee to help us pick the best plans for this community. And so what you have today is a true partnership of the mayor, the city council, the community, and the Lewis Barrow family. And I could not be more pleased. And at this point, it's only appropriate to bring up a relentless voice for the redevelopment of this property, your outstanding Councilwoman Mary Sheffield. Mary?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and good afternoon to everyone, and greetings from District 5. I stand here today extremely proud and excited about this development here in the heart of District 5. I would never forget last year when this building was on the demolition list, I received a phone call from several concerned citizens who wanted me to meet them right here and explain to me their concerns about the future of this building. And as I began to listen to a lot of the stories and the memories, I pledged that day that I will work with the administration and I will work with the community to make sure that we preserve this historic structure that means so much to so many people. So today, again, I'm excited that we have moved in the right direction. I know that this is a win-win for all involved, especially the community, Ms. Donyetta Hill, who was a strong advocate for fighting for this building. I'm also extremely excited about the affordable housing unit. I'm a big advocate of affordable housing, quality affordable housing here in the city of Detroit. It's been a priority of mine, and I'm excited to move forward in that direction. If Detroit is going to rise again in its rightful place of prominence here in the city of Detroit, we must be laser focused on population retention and attraction, and I believe today we're moving in that direction. I want to thank the mayor and all parties involved. Today is a right step in the right direction and a great move for District 5. And I now would like to introduce Donyetta Hill, who again has been a strong advocate and community voice for the preservation of this building.
Woo! Hello, everyone. I just want to say thank you for coming out. This is like so amazing, and it's exciting because I started this fight from a piece of paper I printed out at Detroit Public Library, and just to see this go so far, it's just amazing. So many opportunities has came out this building, and we saved this building from the wrecking ball, and I'm excited. The community has won, so I'm just ready to see what's next.
Amen.
Thank you, Councilwoman Sheffield and Donyetta. We really appreciate those comments. You heard the mayor talk about the RFP that was put out. It was certainly a comprehensive and competitive one that under the direction of Arthur Jemerson, who's our Director of Housing and Revitalization, we chose a development team that best suited the requirements of local, Detroit-based involvement with specific attention to the rich history of Brewster and its surrounding community. So it's my pleasure now to bring up three gentlemen who have certainly local roots. You'll recognize their names. Casey Crane from Crane's Communication family, Kirk Catallo, who has the Vincetta restaurant out in Berkeley, and Jim Jenkins of Jenkins Construction Company.
That Chef Kozad and his group have put together. But more importantly, we're going to roll up our sleeves and do everything we can to preserve the legacy of Brewster Wheeler, to preserve the legacy of Joe Lewis and his family, to preserve the legacy of Detroit that Brewster Wheeler has come to stand for. I mean, I love that it's in this condition because it's beat up, but it's not down for the count, and we're going to do everything we can to make that a very good point.
Of this development, there's also going to be a residential component. And to head that portion in the partnership with Crane and Catallo team, the young man who was born and raised here in Detroit to entrepreneurial parents. Some of you may know them, John and Doris Rhea. They live down in Lafayette Park, not too far from here. and they own Walt's Place down on East Jefferson and Meldrum. So he's got it in his blood. Mr. Mayor, we lost him for a while to New York City, where he found his way to a successful career in housing, but we've lured him back. So let me bring up to the podium now John Rhea. John?
All right.
Thank you, Charlie. Anything from that experience is that preserving a thriving, bustling urban community is key to any great city. Brewster is where the urban core of Detroit was born. And it's because of your leadership, Mayor Duggan, it will continue to be a part of Detroit's reimagined future.
It's not only a home away from home for a lot of people, at a social gathering place, and I see some people out here in the audience that probably spend a lot of hours in Brewster Rec Center. Folks from the Brewster Douglas projects, Brush Park, and Paradise Valley. It also became the official home of one of the greatest athletes of the era and a sense of pride for all Detroiters, heavyweight champion Joe Louis. So in the vernacular of today's boxing events, let's get ready to rumble! Joe Louis Jr. Joe.
I'm not much of a public speaker, but what I'd like to say is thank you to Mayor Duggan, thank you to Kurt and his entire team. This is a really historic day. But the truth is we're here because of all of you. Every great thing that happens in life starts with just one voice, one person, saying, this is what we need to do, or this is what we're not going to allow to happen. And that voice that started here was Danietta Hill. And Danietta, I am so grateful to you.
That's my girl.
Digging his heels in and trying to find the right project. And I do believe we found the right project. That this is going to allow for us to create jobs, bring the tax base back to Detroit, that will enable us to continue to do great things. The media likes to focus on all the things that are going wrong in Detroit, but when I look out over this crowd, there seems to be a lot going right in Detroit.
Right, amen.
And I think we need to talk about that. And I look out at those kids who are spending their time, at the Detroit Chess Club. That's pretty amazing.
Oh, yeah.
They're not robbing, they're not riding, they're not sagging. They're playing chess. That is a beautiful thing, and it's happening right here in Detroit. So, as I said before, every great story has a comeback. This is Brewster Wheeler's comeback. And every great mission starts with just one voice. And so, let this represent what we can do when we work together. If there's anyone out there listening who has an idea or a plan or wants to save something, this serves as your purpose right here today. Nobody thought this could be saved. Nobody thought we were going to find something to do with it. And with Mayor Duggan's leadership and Danietta's loud voice about no we won't, no we won't, no we won't, we've been able to do that. And so I'm just grateful to be here. My father made the most of his title. But what I'd really like to say to you is that more than I hear about his ability as a fighter, I hear about his humanity. And that started right here at Brewster Wheeler. We have to inspire our children. We have to give them the kind of encouragement that comes with just caring or asking, how is your day? Or what do you want to do? So many people don't ever ask the question, what do you want to do? It's hard to know where you're going if you don't know where you've been, and it's hard to know where you're going if you don't have a plan. And I think this is the right plan for Detroit. I think Mayor Duggan is the right mayor for Detroit, and I think all of you are the right community. So thank you so much for allowing me.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
First, I'd like to say that you've heard my name, but trust me, I do not stand alone. Brush Park is a very diverse community, and we have many helpers down here. So I'd like to ask all of my board of directors to come forward, just so that you can be recognized, and our community leaders, just for a second, please, and give thanks to them, because Mona Ross is not a rock. I'm only a little stone. This is the group, and the rest of the group is Miss Sheffield, Mayor Duggan, my seniors over here. I mean, you don't know how much support these seniors have given over here, Miss Janie Scott. These folks have been just so tremendous in regards to working with the community, working with the city, making sure that things happen, because nobody can do this by themselves. And I give so much thanks to these children. I want you to look at all these adults that are working on your behalf to make a future for you, because this is going to belong to you. So I want you to give a clapping hand to these folks who are taking care of you, because they're taking care of you. We're getting old, but you're going to be here. So I want to thank the administration for doing all that they have with Brush Park. I have never worked with administration like this. I've been down to Brush Park for 29 years. I have been invited to all of their meetings. I have been asked my advice. I have been asked the community advice. Mayor Duggan has come to our community meetings, and I mean private meetings where we sit down and eat and talk. And so has Mrs. Sheffield. She invites me to her office to see what's going on in the community. I give a thanks to this new administration. Please, everybody give a thank you hand to them. And that's the end of all I have to say. Thank you.
Who was Wheeler? He was Leon Wheeler, who was the first African-American supervisor of this building back in the 30s and 40s. And that's why his name is up there. And I thought it'd be appropriate to also introduce the last rec center supervisor who was here before we close it down. She's out here, Carla Williamson. Carla, raise your hand. Did a great job of really unfortunately closing things out. But Carla's back. We never thought we'd see this, right? Thank you all for coming out. And with that, I'm going to turn the podium back to Mayor Mike Duggan.
It's been agreed to. In the next 60 days, it'll be turned into a final document that will be formally submitted to City Council with final purchase prices, final commitments and the like. So we got about 60 more days of work, but we know where we're going, and I'm very confident that before this year is out, you're going to see work start on this building. And with that, we'll take any questions.
Unlike any other, that this building has something in the mortar that is different than what you find at anything else. You can't build history and you can't build legacy, and this building has something that means much more than just architecture, and we recognize that, and we understand we have an obligation to respect that.
We're going to explain the different colors?
Yeah, we'll take you through the color-coded. So really the space behind me, which is the original basketball court, we see that in its mezzanine as primarily being the restaurant component, Brewster Wheeler. It's fantastic. I mean, it's a little weathered and it's a little graffiti, but I know I speak for Ann Stevenson, who does all of our design, that we love that patina because it's a history that you can't create. This isn't commissioned graffiti. This is the real deal, and it has an authenticity that we're going to respect. So that's really the gymnasium. When you move out into the central area, we're calling it Detroit on the map. But the Detroit section is where we want to have offices for Slow Roll and offices for the Detroit City Chess Club. The pool area, we're going to activate. We have a couple plans in progress right now, but the pool area is a really special component of this property, and we have some special plans for that. The lower area beneath all of that is essentially a giant prep kitchen that will be part of our culinary in-reach program that we're doing in conjunction with Alternatives for Girls. And then, as I explained, the area that is Leon Hall is an event space, but below it is the area that Joe Louis first fought in. It's the training room, it's the boxing ring. And that would be repurposed as Barrow Bar, which is kind of a speakeasy of sorts, but it's essentially just a hidden bar within this building, bless you, which we think is important. And it's obviously it's a very important corner of this property.
Great history. All right. So let's come over, get something to eat. Everybody can share the history. The developers will be here. You can share your ideas. Thank you all very much.
Junior, welcome to Detroit. What would you like to say to the Detroiters? Welcome to the D.
Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
I did a lot of things here. I learned how to ski, I learned how to swim, I met people. There's so many opportunities for us in this building with the camp. It's just my heart. Love it.
You said there was no mom and dad, or mom and dad weren't present? Or?
Well, my mother was not around as much. My dad wasn't around as much. So I was pretty much on my own as a child.
So this was home.
Yeah, this was home. This was home. The desk used to be right here. We come in, we check in, and sign our names. We got the recreation room over here. So I was a food champ as well.
And when you heard that the ball was going to drop on this, what did you say to yourself?
I was devastated. I cried, and then I just thought, I have to find a way to stop this. I started doing research. I started going out talking to people. I started building power in the community. I was on city issues head. I was on historical advisory. And they was just like, it's a labor of love. This building for me was like a labor of love. So I just organized. I didn't stop.
So 2 years from now, there'll be kids, visitors from out of town. What do you think about all this?
It's awesome because I think it'll bring people together. It'll bring communities together. It'll bring people out of Michigan here just to see this building come back to be restored. Because look at it. It's like amazing.
You must be so proud of that.
I'm very proud. Shocked, but proud.
With alternatives for girls here, that part of it has to get you right there.
It's a lot of children out here on the street that just have nowhere to go. So much happens to me as a little girl. I just don't want another child to go through what I went through. I told them for a lot. And just seeing this being restored, the community is going to be involved. Detroit residents are going to be involved. Jobs will be created. It's amazing. This is amazing. And I hope I can get one of those jobs as well. It's amazing.
I think I know where you're going to apply. Well done. Well done. Terrific. They do have some work to do.
Yeah, a lot. We try to do a lot of things in here.
In terms of the basketball court and the gymnasium, you've got all that. You know where it all is, so I can reference it.
Literally went
Yeah, he went everywhere.
entire floor.
Down.
You know, it's good because it's preserved.
I drink pop every day. Every day.
All right.
He used to talk about you?
Oh man,
What they used to say?
some of everything. Call me little all of that.
Trying to maneuver. Thank you.
Yeah,
You're welcome.
all right. I'm sure gonna sign a couple checks on that.
You silly boy. Stop.